Hey guys, Ian Scotto here. I'm sure that you're all recognizing Memorial Day on this Monday. We actually recorded this episode a few days ago, which is why we don't really get into Memorial Day. It kind of slipped our minds that this would fall on Memorial Day. Although Rudy Reyes during his episode does get into some stuff you'll hear that is definitely very appropriate for Memorial Day, but I felt it would be inappropriate for us not to at least acknowledge Memorial Day in some way. So that's me doing that right here. And I just want to say that I hope you are all enjoying. I got to see the air show over at Jones Beach, the practice show for Friday. But yeah, I hope you're all enjoying however you're enjoying, while at the same time remembering those great men and women who served, who are no longer with us. And yes, you can do both. You can enjoy the day while still recognizing the holiday for what it is. And for all of you who have lost friends or family in combat, in service to this country, we can't say enough. And we truly appreciate those who made the ultimate sacrifice. With that, we'll get started. Battleline podcast. Currently, we'll get into it in a little bit. Currently, the number 2 podcast in the government category, where we interview the biggest names in special operations military and discuss what's happening in the spec ops world, as well as give you some inspiration, advice, and other good stuff. Before we get into this interview with Rudy Reyes or any of that, though, which we're very excited for, Bubs Naturals is the best protein on the market. I mean, they do more than just protein, but the collagen protein is really their flagship product. And as someone who has been involved in supplements for many years and goes to the gym and all that, you guys can read about it. There's all these scandals of supplement companies where there's like amino spiking. And I feel like a lot of these protein supplements are more concerned with having, birthday cake flavored protein than giving you the best protein on the market. And that's why Bubs is it's one ingredient. It's grass-fed cowhide. It's not going to inflame your gut, and it's going to give you the results you need, whether that's post-workout or just to help your joints recover. I mean, collagen is doing amazing things in people's lives, including the Battleline audience.
Yeah, it's tremendous, guys. I'm actually have some in my coffee right now. So I love the that it doesn't have a flavor, and that's the thing is you can put in stuff and it doesn't overwhelm you with these sweeteners or just and some of it just doesn't taste right. It tastes like you've got like the fake sugar aftertaste.
Yeah. And it's worse than sugar because it's something that's made to taste sweet, created in a lab. Yeah. And that's not what this is. And I should throw out there, I don't think it's on the website yet. I just got my apple cider gummies, apple cider vinegar gummies, which are amazing, not just for body cleansing, but for healthy metabolism, promoting energy, immune support, and healthy digestion. And I've had them. They taste great. And the whole idea that's very innovative, as Sean, the CEO, said, is that apple cider vinegar, great benefits, not the best tasting stuff. So he came up with a way that you could easily take that, two a day. And it's going to give you those amazing benefits, but not make you want to throw up. So as of now, I don't think those are on the website. So Sean sent me 3 because he's a maniac. And so I have one jar for myself. I gave one to my mom, who is a fan of apple cider vinegar. And with Sean's blessing, I said, could we do the 3rd as a giveaway? So we'll do that on Instagram. And sometime in early June, I'll do a really cool giveaway for you guys. So if you're not already following us, follow at Battleline Podcast on Instagram, and I will do one giveaway for these apple cider vinegar gummies. But for everything else, whether it's the MCT oil powder, the Fountain of Youth formula, or the collagen protein, just go to bubsnaturals.com, use the promo code Battleline, and you're going to get 20% off your order. Once again, that's bubsnaturals.com, promo code Battleline, and you're going to get 20% off. And as always, every show is sponsored by our good friends at Fort Scott Munitions. Chris just had a Battleline tactical course, and Fort Scott Munitions is always a part of that. They're a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states. And just go to their dealer locator at fortscottmunitions.com. Go to that same website and you'll receive 15% off your order for merchandise because they just can't keep in stock the ammo right now. So for merch, fortscottmunitions.com, promo code Battleline. You'll get 15% off your order, only available to listeners of this podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. With that, let's go.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on, motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline podcast.
The switch is on, Battleline podcast, and I wasn't prepared to get into this today, but last night I was looking at the Apple podcast charts as I do, and we are number 2 in the category. And, you know, I mentally kind of prepare myself for what I'm going to talk about on the show, and I figured we have to get into that. I mean, that's huge, and it's thanks to you guys, the listeners. And for me, you know, I'll let you give your take on it, but it's an affirmation that what we're doing works. And the fact that you could have a podcast that's positive, that glorifies God, glorifies faith. And I feel like we talk to operators without doing like the hero worship thing. We talk to them like anybody else. And I think people like that. And I think it shows there's a market for that because of the fact that we get great feedback from our hardcore listeners. But those are the people who, you know, write the 5-star reviews that really ride or die with us. But the rankings really live by the people who just tune in every week, and they probably don't even follow us on social media. They don't write a review. They might not go to a Battleline tactical course, but they're listening. And it means a lot to me, man. The fact that we did this without any organization, it's just honestly a phone call between Chris and I about a year and a half ago, or really 2 years ago at this point when we came up with the idea. And, you know, no news organization or political action committee said you guys should do a podcast. We did this, just the two of us, and with the help of the guys at Battleline Tactical and you guys.
Yeah, and I know when we talked about it, and we wanted to do something because of my immersion at the time, and I was just getting out of it within the media, within the manipulation, and you know, those that have seen behind the curtain in DC and behind the curtain within the media know that it's made to put people against each other, and that's how they create and make money, and that's how it works, guys. And I was a big part of that, and you know, luckily for me, I was able to take a step away with the help of my wife and my family. Take a step away and be like, wait a second, I am just feeding the machine right now, and it's not a good machine. So what is the best way that maybe I can utilize some this public figure, and if you see me air quoting right now, but this public figureness to try to bring something positive back and basically return to what I was when I was deploying all the time, which was somebody that didn't give two shits about the media or what they were saying, or even politicians in DC, even though I was working for the agency and then also the Department of Defense. But it was, how can we do where we just bring positivity back to the world, which I knew I desperately needed, just to make my soul feel better and to get better and just to be turned to that old self I was, that old funny, jovial self I was when I was
which is you, man.
Which is me,
that's you. That's truly you. That's you at your core.
It is. But also, hey, well, let's bring it to the world. I bring it to whoever wants to listen. And, it was a shot in the dark. I think Ian as well, we're taking a stab at it because we were an anomaly. We weren't doing anything that anybody else was doing without being overly preachy, which we are not. I am a Christian, but you'll hear me drop F-bombs left and right on the show, which is why we're not in the religious category, which at times I've talked to you, hey man, we should be over there. Well, we can't be over there when they look into Joel Osteen. They'll tell me, they'll listen to Joel Osteen, then they're going to hear Tano going, F this, F that. Yeah, I believe in.
Not even so much you. Sometimes our guests. I feel like you and I tone it down a little bit.
A little bit. But that's also to show that, hey, you can be a Christian and you don't have to be a teetotaler to be one. You don't have to congregate to, and it's nothing wrong with that, going to church and all, but you don't have to do that just to make it into heaven. That's not a requirement. It's something that if you want to do, then like Ian speaks, he loves, and so I don't want to speak for you, but you do like to go to church. You do like the group.
Which it's funny. I did on Sunday, and I'm an anomaly because people assume then you're a Christian, and I'm really not. I mean, I'm a person of faith, but I will say, like the evangelical Christians, it was a more, honestly, for me, growing up in Judaism, and I don't subscribe to any, religion. Yeah. I do like people of faith. I don't know. It was a more positive mindset when I walked into a evangelical church for the first time, and I feel like worshiping God should be fun and positive, and that's why every now and again, and I'm not, it's something I do every now and again, and I'll open up, whether it's the Bible or whether it's like words, honestly, from the Dalai Lama or something. I try to incorporate that into all of who I am and being the best version of yourself.
And how I believe you should. If you're a Christian or you're Muslim or you Hindu or wherever you worship in your own way that's good for you. You worship in the way that you can connect with the higher power, with God. And with me, it isn't in a group setting, but it's reading the Bible every day. It's saying a prayer. I've been saying prayers, guys, and this is no bullshit. Every night since I was 15 years old, I say prayers every night. Now I'm 50. And that's how I connect. So to me, it doesn't matter how you connect to the higher power. If you're a Christian, how you connect with God is that you are connecting. You are connecting some way. And because I'm telling you, God is real. God is out there. I don't believe in God. I know there's God. And we talk about this, and we'll talk about it on the show again with my one time. And there's one time that I did feel that God was present and took care of me because I was being an idiot. And I was sitting out in the middle of gunfire. And he's like, I got you, dude. You're stupid right now. Go take, you're not going to take cover. I got you. But it's what we're saying is the show is revolved around faith, and it's revolved around positivity, but over also failure. And we hear stories of veterans and those, and rock stars. We do got some good, fantastic, like Dave Silvera and Jimmy Allen from Puddle of Mud. Dave Silvera, who was a former drummer of Korn, now is the main drummer and the guy of Bias, who tremendous new rock band out there. But how they've overcome adversity in their lives, and I think that's what the show needed to be. It wasn't any more of, oh, you're right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're right, it's none of that fight. It's like, and how do we overcome obstacles?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even watch TV, so I just come across it on social media, and I'm like, how many times do I need to watch? And I don't dislike either of them, but like, how many times do I have to watch Dan Bongino and Geraldo Rivera like yell at each other? I don't know how that's exciting anymore. It's like professional wrestling, because I guarantee behind the scenes, I feel like I don't think they hate each other.
No, they guys, they don't. It's a show, man. It is. It's a show, and it's a great show. And if you can't tell already, when you're dividing people, it makes those that are causing the division money and gives them power. And I've seen it overseas so many dang times. That's what veterans were. It is tough for us to come back sometimes here where we're like, We don't do that. That's not what we do. We don't. But then look how Kurdistan is with Talibani and Barzani, and then look how Iraq is and how the division is and how they create the division so the tribes can stay in power. Like, man, honestly, that we're doing the same thing here. We're just we're just churching it up a little bit more, putting a little bit more color to it, and making it a little pretty. But it doesn't matter how you dress up shit; it's still shit, and it's hard to see that here. That's why I get with the podcast. I think people are following along with that because you got Behind the Service podcast, tremendous podcast. The ladies over there do a great job. So another one that's positive, or even True Seeker out there with his.
Yeah, I was going to say him too because we were talking about faith. I was actually just listening to him yesterday, and I think the cool thing with him is. I think people have a stereotype of what the faith category or faith is. You wouldn't, I mean, he's like dreadlocked and covered in tattoos and he's a rapper and he has these, just crazy stories of faith. I mean, the story that he relayed to us the first time he was on the show and that he was into like witches and warlocks and this, it's
what episode
very
was
outside
that, bro?
the realm of what
people need to listen. People need to listen. It's like one of our early episodes. They really got to listen to that episode. That was tremendous. That was fantastic.
It is. It was early on, but I think it shows that you don't have to fit this, I don't know, guy in like a suit and you don't have to fit. Like, and I like Joel Osteen, but like who looks like Joel Osteen? You don't have to fit that mold.
Hey, I'm sure he's proud to be the stereotype of that. And there's no. I like Joel Osteen. I listen to him sometimes too. He's got positive things to say. He's very positive, but there is a mold and a stereotype of when you see the evangelical, that's what you see. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't turn into Jimmy?
Oh yeah.
Unless you don't turn into a hypocrite and be a sinner. But
you remember? I think I mentioned it on the Truth Seeker one. It might have been the one you were on, or another one. Do you remember Peter Popoff? That guy?
Yes, actually, I do.
That guy was one of these, honestly, con artist type of guys, and that he would. There would be, you could watch it on YouTube. There would be people in the front audience and he would say, you in the front row, you're suffering from cancer. I could sense it. And they found out, they were able to expose it. His wife was on an earpiece saying like, point to that woman right there.
That sounds like, what's that from? Did they take that from Fletch? Fletch Lives? I mean, that's what Fletch, Jimmy Farnsworth, Fletch Lives.
But that's the stuff that turns people off, I think, from, and I'm not an advocate of religion. I'm more an advocate of faith, whatever that may be. But I think that's what turns people off from religion, are those people. I actually don't think Joel Osteen is in that category. I know people have a problem because they say, oh, well, he's made all this money. Yeah, you know what? That's something else. But he's not conning people, and his message has always been of positivity. I've never seen Joel Osteen say, if he's never on like an infomercial. If you buy this holy water for he sells books and they're positive books. I don't have a problem with that.
No, he does. He works to his strengths, and he's been able to literally capitalize, but on his strengths, which is fine. If faith is his strength, there's nothing wrong with that to me. Yeah, but you're right. Hopefully, behind the scenes, he's not like some of the other ones where. Popoff. There was another one. Oh my gosh, I was listening to it all. I do listen to Christian talk radio at times when I'm driving, and I wish I could remember. Maybe we'll bring it on the show again. But where they were one of the evangelicals, the pastors had a concubine, and they say, hey, you got to be able to be in my church and to be in the inner group, you have to have sex with me. And there's you can go on. There's some stories about that where women are taken advantage of with these religious groups, which turn into cults more or less. And it gives Christianity a bad name. Obviously it's going to, but Christianity is not like that. But to use Christianity to further your own vices and your own hedonism and whatever else, that's to me, that equates to, to child molestation, that equates to murder, that equates to the ultimate sin, to use the power and God's name, invoke God's name, so you can quench your desires, and that's horseshit, and it bothers me. But it does make it does give those that dislike Christianity or maybe are afraid of Christianity. I think there's a lot of that out there. It gives them something to. Hey man, you Christians are a bunch of hypocrites. Well, no, we're not, and no, we all believe in different things. As long as we believe in God, and as long as we allow each other to like Ian and myself, we both pray and we both worship in different ways, but we still have the same end state, and that's to live the best possible lives we can, in the image of God, because but we'll never reach that. Nobody ever will, because that's perfect. That's being perfect. And there's nobody that's perfect in this world, but you always got to keep striving to do that. But that's where the show comes in too. We're always striving to be better, but we always fall down. We always fall down the hill. We got to pick ourselves up and try again. And that's essentially what Battleline podcast is. It's hey, we'll find a way to, we're going to find a way to win. It may take a little bit. We're going to learn from our mistakes, learn from failure, but we're going to find a way to win. And what winning is, well, that is all individual. What Ian deems what winning is in his life may not be what I deem what it is in my life, but it's still a positive end state. We're still moving forward to reach that goal on a path of just being the best person we could be, with virtue and honor and integrity and moral courage. Personal courage, guys, it is really easy to obtain. Moral courage is something that is way more difficult to obtain, and I'm still working on it every day. So okay, soapbox time. I sound like Joel Osteen there.
No, it's true, but
I channeled
I liked it. I like, but it's also what you're saying is why I'm, and I think I said at the beginning why I'm not big on idol worship or hero worship. I think you could admire different things about all the great guys that we have on, and they are great guys, but we're all mortal human beings, and we're all going to do, people get very upset too if like I say something or you do on the show and they don't agree with it. It's okay. Like the stuff we said about Eddie Gallagher, for example, and I'm not going to harp on it, but like I know for a fact, like Jake Swig, who we've had on, we didn't talk about it with him, but Jake is in the opposite camp as us, and that's okay. I know Jake was a big defender of Eddie, and that's fine. I'm not, I think people just get, we're going to speak however we think is true. We're not going to, we don't bow down to any corporation or even what the listeners think. We're going to give you our honest opinion on whatever the subject may be, as controversial as it may be. And if you disagree, that's fine. You can still be a listener.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're here for. It's to you have to agree with everything. Believe me, don't agree with everything I say. I can't even get my own household to agree with anything that I say. My 5-year-old and my 16-year-old and my wife's completely. No, I'm not the boss here. So it's nothing. We just want to try at least to keep it positive, even when we talk about negative things. And me and Jake will disagree on Eddie Gallagher. One thing I will never do though is I will never speak adamantly about something that I haven't experienced myself or had something similar to that. And I did. I had multiple opportunities to seek retribution on terrorists where I had the advantage. And I talked about one on the show where we talked about Eddie Gallagher, and I didn't, because that's not the right thing to do. That isn't godlike. All right. That's on the field of battle when they're shooting at me and stuff. Yeah, of course I'm going to kill them. You're going to die because you're not killing me and you're not killing my buddies. But once you have them, and we have prisoners, and we've been taught as soldiers from World War II on, and prisoners of war, is that we treat our prisoners of war better than our enemies do. And, killing them is not treating them better than our enemies do. That's what they do. But I do understand where Eddie's mindset is, because I've been there where you're right at that threshold. Like, I could get away with this, and I would feel so much better. But really, would you? You'd quell that vice that you have at that point in time. But in the end of the day, you've committed one of the ultimate sins, and that's murder. You've took another person's life, and I will always speak out against that and speak, because I don't want to be in that category where now people lump Rangers, SEALs, Marines in a category that you guys are all baby killers and all that other kind of crap, which I actually was called that once when I was at 2nd Ranger Battalion when I lived in Olympia, Washington. You think those Vietnam days were gone. It wasn't. I was back in those days, a Ranger, we had to have high and tight, so we stuck out like a sore thumb. We looked like Q-tips walking around streets, and I was called that when I was walking in Olympia Coffee. And this was back in the 2000s. This was it was 2000. I'm like, my geez, are you kidding me? And it does hurt. And I'm like, are you kidding? I am the most patient person out here. You're calling me that now. But anyway,
but it shouldn't hurt if it's not based in anything, And that's why I try not to get heated if a comment is negative. If someone is offering constructive criticism, of course. We got to get to Rudy Reyes.
Rudy!
Very excited to have Rudy on. I know there's probably listeners being like, enough of this intro. I want to hear Rudy. So we're going to get to him. But before we do, this is awesome because we love what they do over there. Today's show is sponsored in part by Medieval Industries. Yeah. They manufacture the only fully adjustable vertical foregrip and adjustable rifle grip on the market. The 360-degree VFG and ARG adjustable rifle grip now allows the weapon to adjust to the shooter as opposed to the shooter adjusting to the weapon. Whether you're hunting, shooting for sport, or challenging yourself in precision tactical shooting competitions, these unique adjustable grips will become a natural extension of your rifle. Medieval has expanded their product line to include a quick detach tripod, and most recently, you've heard us talk about a quick detach adjustable monopod. They've designed and engineered the necessary components to create a tactical shooting system and have integrated the QD tripod into their line of modular quick detach accessories. Now check this out. Medieval's newest setup, the Overwatch Commander, is an extremely stable shooting platform that's quickly and easily deployed in tight spaces. This new lightweight compact system is capable of what many heavier, larger tripods on the market can do and allows for widespread accessibility because of its small footprint. The entire system weighs just under 6 pounds and deploys in seconds. Medieval Industries is committed to providing all gun enthusiasts with precision-engineered, high-quality weapon accessories. All products are designed and developed with first-rate materials for strength and endurance. And I have to tell you, every time I talk to the creator of this company, the CEO, Steve, you want to talk about someone who is passionate about what they do. He is so excited to tell you what they're up to and to say, hey, man, we got Navy SEALs using this stuff and Army Rangers and guys like Chris. And they get back to me and they're like, I wish I thought of this. So you could tell that he believes in his stuff when he talks with that passion.
Yeah, and I talked about last week about how Latinos are stepping up and continue to work. Steve's huge Latino, and he's busting his ass out there every day to make his products better. And I admire him for that. He's all over the place getting it out there because it is a tremendous product. And the Overwatch Commander, guys, it's a tremendous platform. It also has detachable QDs that you can pull off and actually can go from the Overwatch Commander to a tripod, which is not a bipod mount, but it's an actual tripod where you can go to a prone position and utilize it that way. So when you get the Overwatch Commander, you're not just getting one piece; you're getting two separate shooting platforms. And no, guys, it's tremendous. If you're a target shooter from distance, you're a hunter, and then also for you DDMs, for you designated defensive marksmen, your snipers out there, guys, I would highly recommend you give it a try because that Overwatch Commander there's nothing out there like it. It's tremendous. It's one of the best pieces of equipment that I have as far as accessories that go for my long range rifles. And I'm not a good long range shooter, but it makes me better because it gives me a tremendously stable platform. But also I have the ability to detach and come out with their little QD tripod that is a part of that Overwatch Commander. So guys, give it a try. Check out Medieval, and Steve's out there working his butt off to make sure that those within the community, whether it's law enforcement or military, have the best chance for success with his equipment. So highly recommend it and give them a try, and you'll see the difference when you get it as well, that it's revolutionary. And Steve's a tremendous individual. And yeah, man, viva la raza, my very good job, Steve. Tremendous job hustling out there and busting your ass during these times to make your product still successful, which it is.
Absolutely. It's mid-evil.com. Go there now. He is revolutionizing the way that people are shooting. It's mid-evil.com. So joining us for the first time on the podcast, Rudy Reyes, Marine Recon combat vet, actor, speaker, played himself, of course, in HBO's Generation Kill, as well as various other acting roles. And
he is an IT guru with his computer and his phone. He is a genius. As far as you know.
I was an infantryman first, Chris. I was an infantryman.
I know. And that was back in the day when our GPSs were bricks
the
with
plugger.
the pluggers, the old plugger. Sorry, and I had to say it. I had to bust his balls.
No, it's great, and it's an honor to have you on, really, because we spoke about it. No, we spoke about it during the intro before we brought you on, but I think the thing that hopefully sets apart our podcast is just the positivity, the positive mindset, and as someone who's followed you, you are someone who embodies that every single day. You are someone just not reliving your glory years. I could tell you are someone, whether it's you with your girlfriend or you out and about, you are making new memories and, like, as the cliche saying goes, living your best life. So
well, you know what, it's action oriented, and you all brothers know what you get out of life is really what you put in, and it's a pretty simple equation, and we'll always be challenged and we'll always have hard times because life itself, Jade and I were watching Life in Color, the David Attenborough nature series, right? All of the animals are fighting every day, fighting each other to establish where they stand in the tribe, fighting to get a mate, fighting for food. But still there's joy there. There's joy and there's beauty there. So we're always going to have our struggles. That's the beauty of life, is because that steel will sharpen the steel. And every time we go through a hard challenge, we can reflect and then become more confident, more competent, and more understanding. And Chris, I would think now that we're getting up in our middle age, right?
Just a little bit. What are you talking about? We're talking about. I'm 24 years old, as far as you know, out there.
I think you were what? -3 when you joined.
I am exactly. I was an embryo. I was doing flutter kicks in my mom's womb.
Of course, it shows. I mean, low body fat. It shows.
Go ahead. Keep going. Because we're going to go down rabbit.
So, as we're older now, I think we're becoming more compassionate because we run. I believe in our military experience and military service and leadership, because it was always do or die, and it was for all the marbles. There was no bandwidth for the compassion, and there was no bandwidth really for empathy. And we were never really sentimental, but we could be empathetic to host nations' needs as we're fighting in their lands. And we could be empathetic to families' needs of our brothers that are next to us, but we're still continuing the mission.
Well, you didn't have time. It was hey, okay, all right. It's like, hey, and it's just like, you go in the Recon, or you go say the regiment, or you go into SF, or any of those other, you either pass or fail. And when a guy falls off, even your best friend, if he doesn't make it, man, that sucks. Well, better luck next. And then you got to move on to the next. You can't stop and say, shit, that's terrible. Oh, it's awful. You got to just let it go. And you don't really learn. You're right. Until you get older and you start to slow down, do you have the chance to now take the time to be sympathetic? Because it's no, keep going, bro. I got you.
Especially for like our kids or our woman. I had a real hard time, brother, when I first transitioned out of understanding people that love me, their emotional feelings and needs, and they love me. I was not able to cross that bridge. We had turned that off because it's just too slow. And then after we are baptized by fire and also rewarded with our respect and status amongst our warrior brothers, rank, team leader billets, were rewarded for being black and white, cut and dry, go, no go, and we always drive on. Well, now that we're in the rest of our life out here, I'm working on those other skills. I'm working on those skills,
Well, and you have to, and because the world doesn't always operate. Well, it doesn't operate like that at all. There is some cutthroat when you get in the business world. I've seen that. You've seen that and I learned a lot from you because you had a lot of experience within this public figure. I always air quote that because I hate that freaking word. I hate that. But where we had to learn, and that was baptism by fire just within itself, how to handle ourselves, and where you couldn't just punch somebody in the face if they wronged you. You couldn't. Interesting
you mentioned that. So 2 days ago, I'm with my Marine Corps brother, Matt DeMayo, because I was just at Summer Strong with Bert Soren and all of our people. And we had all our special operations people. We had Olympic gold medalists. We have NFLers. All of us physical culture people, where it is a very honor and respect-oriented field. All of us, right? And Maddie said, and so I was at this also a prestigious steeplechase with the governor of South Carolina. Okay. A very powerful man and a beautiful man named General Tom Mulligan, a 2-star that is now on our board with Force Blue, and was a JAG officer and went to Ranger School because he had to show respect.
No, you have to.
And he had to, the only way to get respect is to show respect. Yeah. And we were with some really wealthy people. I was with my beautiful hot lady, Jade, and I had a couple of my homies, and there was a lot of haterade because we were looking so good and so happy.
Well, you got to tone down the red sometimes. You got to tone it down, man. All right.
You truly are. I mean, for people.
I'm going to send you all some pictures offline after this. I mean, they're just magnificent. I mean, people weren't even watching the races; they were watching us. And my lady's kissing me, and I'm having the time of my life. So,
and I was going to say, just for people who follow you on social media, I mean, you guys truly are like that Spec Ops world power couple. Your fans are now fans of Jade.
Yes, and vice versa. And just to put it out there, Jade is faster with a pistol than I am. So, and my eye and Chris, my eyes are freaking going, brother. Dude, my eyes are getting tired.
You got to get the red dot on that pistol, dude. You're going to have to break down. I'm telling you, I have to do the same thing. We're getting older. You have to get you've got to get the freaking RMR on there, dude.
Very well, brother. Okay, very well. I mean, from God's mouth to my ears, I got it. So yeah, we're there, and then this cat, and brother, I think I'm looking sharp. I got a red bandana around my neck, but I got a vast open collared white shirt, tailored trousers, looking sharp. And this chubby ass, sweaty, overweight, wealthy cat comes over and he calls me, "Who do you think you are? Who are you, Zorro?" And
is that even necessary? I hate that. Is that even necessary? Really?
I know, and everyone's kind of suspicious because who are these rock stars coming in to this very southern, very established, old world thing? And my best friend, his name's Cable. You might have met him in New York. He was my stunt driver when I did a movie, and my body double with Robert Rodriguez on Machete Kills. He was also a supermodel, runway model, and pro beach volleyball player. But he's gone on to Nepal to work on his yoga and work on his spirituality because that world can be quite vacuous.
Oh yes, right? yeah.
And I bring him out. He's wearing a blue dashiki straight from Kenya. Everyone's dressed up in their linen suits, dog. I'm sending you pictures of this after. You guys are going to see what I said. Blue dashiki, these amazing sunglasses, harem pants, MC Hammer pants, because it's hot. And so it's Jade Struck.
Well, yeah, that dude.
Who's fine as hell, bit midriff showing, abs popping. And you got me over here, the Latin lover. You got Cable Gibbs. And so he comes over, and I've had a couple of drinks, and I've been so kind and respectful to everybody. And he starts calling me names. Oh, and I'm with a GRS brother. His name's Lowell, and he works at a high level. And actually, he's out there in Libya. And has been there a few times with a dear brother. I won't say last names. A dear brother. My name's Sonny, a Recon brother. Hard dude. All the brothers still hard. And then I've got a retired CAD guy there. Sweet gentleman. All of us are sweet gentlemen. But it rubbed me the wrong way. And I just snapped. I said, "Who the fuck are you, motherfucker? You fat fuck. Let's go outside. I'll fuck your ass up. You don't even know your fucking name. You disgusting fat body."
It's the red, dude. You got to stop wearing the red. The red makes you that way. I'm telling you.
And then so Maddie DeMayo and my SEAL brother, the happy SEAL brother, who's also a savage, Jeff Gum, always smiling from Pennsylvania, But we all have that thin red line, baby.
The switch is on, as we say.
Yeah, the switch. Daddy DeMayo says, Rudy, you know what? Maybe we need to bring back punching motherfuckers.
No, it is. It's like sometimes the best problems would be solved by punching somebody in the face.
Sure, because then a lesson is learned.
It does. And every time, I don't know how many, I haven't been in a ton of fights. I've been in a couple, but you always do become, when we used to, especially high school, when we used to get in the fight, you became friends. It was the funniest thing. After the fight was over.
In grade school.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm sure this is similar in your Ranger community. We called it going to the tree line. So if there was an issue between, even if it was different ranks, we could go to the tree line, the rank comes off, and you squabble it out. It rarely happened because mostly when somebody did said, let's go to the tree line, discipline was restored right there. Sure. And then if it did have to go, it was handled in-house. And after that, both men had more respect, win or lose, and it was handled.
And ours was going in the squad room. You go in the squad room and you close the door. Yes, and that's where it was handled. But like 99% of the time, it was a lot of posturing. But then it was really going to happen. Both guys are like, you know what? Getting punched in the face hurts. Maybe we should work this shit out.
Or is my attitude really worth me fighting for?
Yeah.
Or is it my attitude because I'm a badass and I'm kind of bucking?
Or am I just having a bad? Or am I just having a bad day and I said something I shouldn't have said?
We check ourselves.
We
check ourselves. But if occasionally it goes there, and then every time we're doing hand to hand or combatives. The studs, we end up fighting, and then it gets fired up, and it does, and it's always competitive. Yet it's these subtle mock combats, whether it's competition on the run, competition on the swim, competition on the mat, competition on your comm shots, and how shit hot you're running even your training ops, your patrols.
Yeah.
We kind of establish where we stand, and there's very little friction. Very little friction. Now, out here in this world, it is a freaking free-for-all, brother.
Well, because anybody nowadays, because of social media, and you see it just like I do, the trolls out, anybody can get away with anything anymore because there are no repercussions. There's no more punches in the face.
That's right. That accountability. And I know I've had a hard time with it, especially since I've been seeing my beautiful baby, Jade. She's
why did you have her kick? Well, and she could kick both of her.
Oh,
why don't you have her? Why don't you have her?
If I can jump here,
she's ready to go, brother. I'm telling you, she's the one that gets really, really defensive. But
how did that conclude though? After you called the guy out, what happened?
He peed his pants. He peed his pants a little bit.
I'm sure it was. If you're in a group of that group, and when you get now, if you guys were 30-somethings, 30-year-olds, it probably would have ended up in a fight. When you get to the 50-year-old, it gets remedied very rarely. 50-year-olds, if there's going to be a punch, it's going to be right off the bat. It's like, all right. But I'm the same. I don't even try to put myself in those situations. That's why I rarely wear red. I'm telling you, it's the red. I've been telling you this for years. It's the fucking red.
But I love red.
I know you got it. But you're right. It does.
Well, you've got that olive skin tone, Chris.
It does look good, dude. It looks good. It does. But
thank you. You're right, Chris. Remember when we first hung way back?
It was.
And you were doing a talk, and you're adored, brother. You're adored, and you have every right to be adored.
But dude, I was having issues then, man.
I know.
I was so
it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming, and how you're being received is for being a hero. Yet, we've done some pretty heroic, badass shit.
But we're not here. We did our jobs. I didn't
know we were doing special.
Yeah.
We were just giving everything we had to fight and kill the enemy and live. Yeah. Right. And we might have done a few little, like, to me, the biggest shit hot thing, one of the biggest shit hot things I've done. And I freaking, I set up, I climbed a bridge in the cover of darkness.
Yeah.
Set it up with explosives, blew it up, and the fucking enemies are coming over the moon. I've done some hoo-yah shit, right? Some fucking badass inserts, extracts, sniper missions, Trojan. Sure. I'll tell you what I thought the most intelligent thing I ever did was this, simply. On the invasion, we went through a city. We were set up on massive ambush. We chop our way through the city at speed. We're getting through a T intersection, and the vehicle in front of me, we're all shot the hell up. But it's a berm, and it's all Sapka. So the vehicle I see in front starts to sink after we hit it. And so I hook the wheels. So I kind of skirt the berm instead of going into the Sapka and sinking the vehicle. Yep. Now we got to pull this thing out, and we're in the middle of freaking combat, right? I'm a shitty driver compared to my redneck team leaders from North Carolina. He says you don't got a hair on your ass if you can't freaking back up a freaking a semi and trail. I mean, this guy's a true redneck genius, right? Yeah. So he can do this shit. I'm in charge of doing it because I'm the assistant team leader. But he's like, Rudy, get on out. I can drive. So my next job is to establish security. So they're shooting over the berm. It's pandemonium in the ring. So I take my point man and my radio man. We're all recon men. I said, come with me. We're running to the berm. We run into the berm and they're shooting. So now we're weasel walking. Now we're getting closer. Now we're crawling. And now we're low crawling because they're right across the street.
Sure.
Fuck, right? And a couple moments, I'm like, well, this is it. But still driving on, we get to the top. Right before we lay fire into them, I tell Chafin, watch from 9 o'clock, and Budweiser, watch from 3 o'clock. I had the wherewithal to say, just watch, because I didn't want us to get flanked or shot on the flank. Oh, and I was scared to death. We all were facing fire, just 30 feet away. But I knew my job was to make sure our flanks were supported before we poured fire.
That's the beauty of when you actually can think and calm yourself down. I tell people this when we do our talks. I've been able to now that when you're actually able to think in combat, because people think it becomes a tunnel vision. No, if you want to be good at it and successful, it doesn't become a tunnel vision. You have to
expand,
and then and how beautiful is it when you're able to do that? It's so freaking gorgeous because you remember that, and that's what sticks with you. It's not the shooting; it's man. I got to see right. I got to tell the guys I saw, and I know you. I know you saw a move. I know you saw what they look like, and it's just like wow. That's what sticks with you. Is like holy shit. It's almost like you were tested. And, everybody wants to be, all us males, alpha males, we got to be tested. Can we accomplish our goal in the test? And everybody thinks that's shooting back. It's going into the building. It's not. It's the test to me is, can I actually think when all this shit's going on? And that's what.
You're so right. And it's beautiful. You're exactly right. It is beautiful. It is what sticks with this because it is almost outside of time.
Yeah.
It's outside of our human desire to run and hide or a human desire to just eat the face because both are there. And we have always honed eating the faces. But to become professional enough, it is an art. It is an art. And didn't happen overnight, Chris.
No, it doesn't.
I had to go to combat a lot of times and tons of training.
Yeah.
And how about ashamed when I fucked shit up? And
the shame helps.
It's an art, brother. It's an art. And when you do it, you'll never forget it. And that's the most glorious thing I've ever done is not the glory shit. It is that I had the wherewithal and the respect to my men and the respect for my men that have to drag that Humvee out, and we still got to go all the way to Baghdad and to Crit. And none of us know if we're going to get out of here alive, but at least I'm going to hold my sector and do it the right way.
And do you right. You stayed in your lane, which is that's part of thinking. And that sometimes it is just staying in the lane. And that's why when I talk to corporations, I say veterans that have been tested in combat, especially in the special operations community, whether it's Rangers, Raiders, which is MARSOC, PJ. So those are the people you want because they're able to think under duress.
Yes.
And I say it's not instinctive. There's no such thing as instinctive because that means your brain's not working. You want people that are able to think. Yes, you do habit forming movements. Yes, habitual stuff comes because of our training. Stuff I've done over and over and over and over again. I'm still thinking of it, but mentally it's so quick. I think, wow, it must be instinctive. No, I've done it 100 times. But we were actually able to slow it all down and say, I got to do this. I got to do this. Okay, let's make it happen, which is what you did.
It's almost outside of time because I bet if somebody hit a stopwatch and was watching this from the outside, it would appear instantaneous.
Yes, like 5. I was going to say probably happened in 2 seconds. Go that way.
Brother.
Yeah,
brother. I mean, when you were fighting your heavy one in Benghazi, there was things, chaos happened everywhere. And I imagine, and from you speaking to me, you were just going through the motions. You were just doing it by the numbers.
Hey, what do we do? What do we do here? What do we do? And communicating. Communication is.
And on the outside, it looked like a Jedi. On the outside, that is what a Jedi is. On the outside, it appears magical and beautiful, but really, it is. We are embracing our skills, training, intellect, physicality, and not being so scared. Because when we get too scared that we're going to die, or we attach too much to our life in that moment.
Yeah.
Now we're in the reactive state and we're in the fear state, right?
Yep. No, you're exactly right. I try to talk to people when I say, hey, that adrenaline is there. Sure, it's adrenaline, fight or flight. It's always going to be there. And I'm not telling you not to care about your life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you go into the mode where you just do your job. And, you don't worry about it. When you start worrying about dying, that's when things go south.
For sure.
That's when the
SOP is there for a reason, brother. That's why we call them SOPs.
Yeah.
They really there for a reason. And your outfit, the Ranger outfit, and our Recon outfit, we go way, way back. What we did in World War II in Vietnam. I mean, there's so much rich history of real badasses. Yeah. And that's another thing, Ian. If anybody out there, just to remind them, the cultures in our modern special operations world, holy moly, we think back to the brothers that brought us here.
Well, you think of the Revolutionary War. You think of Francis Marion, the SWAT, the SWAT Fox, and that back in those. That's where the lineage starts there. Yeah,
fieldcraft, hardness. There was no Vibram boots back then. There was no Gatorade powder. There was no creatine, baby.
There's no Gore-Tex. Nothing like that.
Incredible.
Hey, Rudy, I'm wondering with that though. How did your journey, I guess you'd say, into special operations start? Are you one of those kids who, from the moment you were, in first grade, said, "I want to be a Marine"? Or how did it all start?
A lot of people don't know. They know the generation kill Rudy on. They know that, but they don't know basic training, Rudy. I mean, Antonio, your buddy Antonio, when he was GRS, well, he told me a little bit, but that was when he was doing the GRS thing. But I think our listeners, because nobody's really heard that about that, and I think they want to know, especially we get a lot of young listeners that want to join. Yeah. And man, I love them to hear that story of where you started, what decided, and then a basic training story, dude, or your whole basic training. Nobody knows that, man.
Well, my father, I have two fathers. The man that gave me his name, Rudy Reyes Sr., he was a devil dog in Vietnam, and he's passed. And then my biological father was also a Marine, and his name's Hector or Gustavo de la Yata, and a Spaniard. He came from a wealthy family, and he was running from a tyrant father in Mexico. They're land barons. I just found my family for the first time after the success of Generation Kill. I had some money and confidence that maybe I'd be received because I never met my biological father. I went to meet the De La Yatas, and my sister's a medical doctor. I got a young, beautiful sister. Wow. My cousin is the district attorney of Austin, Texas. His father is a professor of Latin and psychology at the University of Texas. These are pretty intelligent, powerful people. But my father, but they're all Mexican by way of Spain. They're Chris, they're just as fair as us, or even more fair than we are, right?
Well, they're Basque. You get the Spanish that are Basque, like my father. He looks Italian. He's so.
For sure. That's why you and I get compliments oftentimes that I look like you, or that we're brothers. I do, right?
Well, it's because of our sexiness, though.
Okay, yes.
Haters gonna hate.
It comes from Spain.
It's the olive skin. It's this. It doesn't age.
We don't age. We age like fine wine, baby. Like fine wine. So I grew up kind of tough. My father, both fathers, had some pretty extreme PTSD. De La Yata did 2 tours. My real father is Rudy Reyes. He after he came back, he immediately got into law enforcement. Actually, no, I think first he was scrubbing out grain elevators.
Wow.
Hard work on the border. And they're all from the border of Texas and Mexico.
Yep.
My mother was young and beautiful, but a traditional Mexican woman, meaning you cook, you clean, you look good for your man, and that's it.
Yep.
So it didn't work out. And my mother got involved in the, it was the early 70s, got involved in the drug world. And then we started moving around, myself and my two brothers, and slowly but surely we were left here or left there. And ultimately we were raised in the Omaha Home for Boys.
Did you? I didn't know that. No shit.
52nd and 8th.
You're in Omaha. No, I live right by it. It's right.
Okay,
it's right down the road. It's still 52nd and 8th.
It's doing really good. I was there. Yeah. I was the keynote speaker for the 100-year anniversary. And
wow.
No shit. That's awesome.
Thank you to Omaha Home for Boys. They gave me a wrestling program. They gave me weights. They gave me food.
Yep.
We were very sick when we got there. We all had worms and lice. I had hepatitis because we were living in filth.
Yeah.
We were living in third world African filth.
Wow.
Right? So we were taken by the state. We got medicine. We got haircuts. We got pride. And I excelled as a wrestler, and that's what drove me into continue to do sports and martial arts. But when I was a little boy, I saw First Blood. When I saw John Rambo, I just knew then. Do you remember when he unscrews his knife and he's using the compass and immediately goes into E&E and then sear and I thought, this is an example of a man that can overcome and is capable, because we were so poor and thrown around foster care and here or there. I didn't feel capable at all. I didn't know where my next meal was going to be. There was a lot of abuse. There was a lot of neglect. So immediately I connected to John Rambo, and always in my mind. And of course I read comic books, and I was an athlete. So I built my body and my mind to be strong. And I was a kickboxer and a martial artist. But I was not mean yet, brother. I was not mean. You don't become really hard to war and military. But the word on the street was that we had to go fight in Kosovo. And I saw a documentary of orphans in Kosovo, in the sniper alleys. All the adults are dead, and the little kids are fast enough to not get killed. And they're hiding out in this old warehouse with a few civilians and NGOs trying to freaking take care of these kids in the middle of war.
Yeah.
And right there, it was an emotional hit to me, because it brought me back to my childhood.
Okay.
I said, I am an able-bodied man, and we're going to go fight in Kosovo. I'm going to do my duty.
So you're 17 or 18 at that point? Were you getting out of high school?
26.
Oh, you're 20. Okay, shit.
I was already a kickboxer.
Wow. Okay.
I was heavy into my Zen Buddhism. I was vegetarian. I imagined I would continue to compete kickboxing until I got so old that I would teach. I just loved doing martial arts and having a simple life. And I was an illustrator. I would work different commercial art jobs. But that emotion of those kids, and then the idea that we got to go fight for people that can't fight for themselves. I thought of my dad, and I joined the Marine Corps as an infantryman, and no good deed goes unpunished in the Marine Corps. So I was
yeah, that's true. And you're an old fart, because I went through 25.
You and I wish we could be 26 again.
I know.
I look at 26-year-old now, and I'm like, look at this kid. Look at this kid. And so I go there, and I'm the honor grad in Ironman of boot camp, and then SOI. And again, so I got meritoriously promoted.
Awesome.
So they put me on guard duty. I'm the best of like 600 guys, and now I'm running guard duty. And if any of you know about the Marine Corps, there's Camp Horno and Camp Pendleton. They're the most disciplined, anal retentive, freaking haterade, swear the fuck place. If you do not have a freaking high and tight or horseshoe, you're out of regs. You better have that freaking, your shave needs to be so clean every day. You better have some blood on your face. And I mean, it's squared away. And by the way, and that's where Anthony's from. That's where Sparrow.
Yep.
That's where Sparrow's squared the fuck away. Yep. Also, very little creativity, and life sucks. So they put me there on guard duty to do relief and guard relief and run the guard shack. I'm there for about 2 months in a squad bay. They got a pull-up bar, and I'm doing calisthenics. I'm not even seeing the sun because there's always some young Marine running to freaking Mexico or something. We got to go get the guys. I mean, brother, it was rough. And I thought to myself when I looked in the mirror at my freaking super high and tight haircut, I'm like, another fine mess you got yourself into this time, Rudy Reyes. This is how it's going to be for 4 years at least. Get used to it. And I said, very well. Yeah, remember, we used to have the tan from our freaking rolled up sleeves here and a tan here down and white all around.
White.
Right? So I did so well. The corporal of the guard, Recon was coming through Horno to run their in-dock.
Okay.
He put my name up, and I didn't know how to swim. Shamed. Yeah, everybody thought it. All the young Marines thought, they still called me guide because I was the guide at boot camp. Guide can do it. Guide's going to go recon. I didn't know how to swim. I was embarrassed. I hid in the squad bay in the back of the barracks. And with a big leap of faith, I said, fuck, everybody believes I can do it. I'm scared to death. I'm going to give it everything I got, but I'm probably going to drown in the swimming pool. And I was so dominant, Chris. I was so dominant on the run. 300 PFT, so my pulls and crunches, and my run was 17:20.
Yeah,
then
great.
We went through the O course 3 times, and then we're doing exercises and boots and utes. And every time you go through it, of the 3, the slowest is done. The slowest is out. Now we put on our freaking 70-pound ruck, and it's an 8-mile run, trail run, right?
Yep.
There's a pool. I was so dominant. I got to the pool 20 or 30 minutes before the next guy. And these are seasoned grunts. These are seasoned snipers. These are brothers that have been to Ranger and got their jump trying to get to Recon. Been in the Corps 8 years or so. And I've been in the Corps 5 months.
Yeah.
And they can all tell I'm boot as fuck. They called me forever Lance Corporal Happy to be here because I was. So I'm standing by, having my soul freaking ripped apart, looking at the water and looking at the real swimmers.
How far do you have to swim for the end?
Oh my gosh, the abandoned ship drill off the top with your boots and utes and rifle, and then tread freaking 20 minutes. I didn't know how to tread. I was kicking this way. I was kicking like this. Ah! And then grab the rubber brick. And it's got to stay out of the water.
Yeah.
Except, brother, I was under the water the whole time. I didn't know what I was doing. So, and then you're a 500-meter time swim in camis. I never swam in camis. Playing around in a freaking swimming pool and looking at chicks is not swimming.
No.
All right. So I really did swimming.
And you got your boots and utes, and people realize how much that weighs a lot when it gets wet.
Have mercy.
It weighs you down.
And stats like us were muscular and lean. I had no buoyancy.
No buoyancy.
I kept trying to go harder, which means I'm going slower.
This means you're tightening up, and when you tighten up in the pool, you start to sink even more.
Oh, brother, at that time, brother, it was the hardest thing I'd ever been through. I've been through survival situations on the street since a kid. I've been through the boys' home and fighting. I've been through so much, but at that moment, that water was so difficult. And after we do all of that stuff, we have to tread for half an hour. And that's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life at that time. And then you got the recon guys and fins and freaking masks sharking you. And I'm starting to cramp everywhere. I'm cramping. And then they got a fire hose that they're hitting you and you're trying to breathe up top. So we finally get out of that dead bear. I survived. And a lot of guys, brother, I swear to you, Ian, Chris, there was some Marines holding so hard onto the side of the pool. I swear their fucking fingerprints are in the water to this day. They The sharks were trying to get him back in the water. No, bro. Like one of Dante Inferno's planes of hell, bro.
But it does that water does that to you. If you can't stay relaxed in that shit and you start to sink and then you take that first gulp, if you don't tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna have to drink water, and you take that first gulp thinking that's how I got through all my swimming, the pre-scuba, the water infiltration. I hated it, but I'm gonna have to drink water. If I was just drinking water, just drink the water.
I'm here to drink water. If you go with that attitude, absolutely, brother. I was new at it. Even the water in my face, I was freaking out. Somehow I make it through the water. I get out. Now we got to do a 6-7 mile run, but we're slick. I whoop all that ass again. Yeah. So, and imagine when we were instructors, Chris. When we were instructors, we saw potential in our students, and if they had the raw material, even if they didn't know what the hell they were doing, we know that they are going to be with training an asset to our unit. So my cadre and leader of the whole thing, his name is Roger Sparks. Okay. And he was a Recon daddy and a Ranger the old days, and he then went to pararescue, I think at 33 or 34. Wow. And their in-doc program is nothing but Olympian water.
No, it's tough. People think pararescue. We give the PJs and this Air Force Circle, but they have. I'll be out of everybody. I think, and I have their booklet. I should train on their booklet because I thought it was so tough. The pararescue combat. I think they have the toughest in-doc out of all of them.
I agree, brother.
I have to say.
It's an Olympian swim program.
It is.
And so for that reason, it's mostly 18 to 25-year-old Olympian swimmers that do it. Roger went in there already as a grunt, as a Ranger, and Recon daddy, 33, which is ancient, 34. And he was the honor grad.
Wow.
He broke all these records. And now Roger is he's the highest decorated pararescueman of all time. He fought a fight in Afghanistan for the 101st Airborne and went in there and shot and saved 8 brothers.
We got to get him on the show.
He's spiritual. He
that's awesome.
Created me, and he's eating an apple as I'm coming across the freaking finish line, and he always says, "Hey, Big Daddy, good effort." Everything absolutely a savage, and he's 6'10" or 6'11" with nothing but chest.
Yeah.
Just chest, chin, and chest. Best chest in the West, Big Daddy. You're gonna love this, man. You're gonna see so much of him in me when you meet the man. And now he's my teammate on Force Blue, the real tall PJ.
Okay, yeah. I've seen pictures when you post. Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. I'll tie you guys in. So BRC, which is the East Coast or West Coast school, was all slotted up. So I had to go to the East Coast, which is Amphibious Reconnaissance School. And it was the first one. It was old. It used to be a Recondo school, and both Army and Recon used to go there back in the Vietnam era. And I go to school there 3.5 months, being the boot of the boot. I had no field crap, Chris. I had to learn everything there. All my knots, everything. I had to learn everything. Patrol, everything. And it was a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
All you young men out there that want to be commandos, all you young men out there, let me tell you what. Number one is you're never going to be able to prepare enough. You're never going to be able to prepare enough. It's going to push you further than you've ever imagined. And some things that you can't comprehend yet will test you so far. It will take everything you have. But the bottom line is be extremely physically fit.
Yeah.
And that means mentally fit. If you're extremely physically fit, sometimes your body will overcome things because your brain is gone.
Yeah.
Your brain is going to be gone sometimes when you I think you all do a similar thing, a patrol phase where you guys are up for a week running missions. Not just playing games, not just doing PT. I mean running missions. During the day, you're planning in a swamp. We do it, and then everybody's on a knee with the freaking ruck on their back, and then we're executing in the evening, and then a final E&E after that, and getting freaking tear gas. And there's going to be times when you're going to see Native Americans.
I used to see monkeys in the trees from The Wizard of Oz. I used to see the Wizard of Oz monkeys at night. And I'm like,
things. I had our Native American brothers, my spirit guides, and they were helping me control through the woods. And then sometimes I saw the aliens come down.
And by the way, this is the norm because it's like I've heard Nick Irving talk about the same thing.
It is because the
brain checks out. The brain checks out.
We got so much bandwidth, but if you extremely physically fit, your body's got a brain too. It does not want to die. Yeah. And if your character is correct, you will not quit. As long as you will not quit, and your body won't die because it wants to live, and you're strong, you're gonna make it. So stay physically fit.
Spot on. That is spot. I gotta tell you, your brain will always quit before your body, and that's happened so many times. If your character
is good, if your heart is there, and you will not give up, then that's fine. You don't even need your brain for this shit for a while, right?
You don't. That's like a brain checked, but it's so true.
And so when Tony met me, Espera, we were on the Mew together.
Okay.
In 2001, 15th Mew. We didn't know the towers were going to get hit, but we were doing some counter drug and counter poaching stuff with the Australians in Darwin, and then going to do a humanitarian mission in Timor. The towers were hit. It's a battalion of grunts. Espera, I think, was a squad leader.
Okay.
I was a junior man in my 5-man team. Platoon of recon men, a platoon of SEALs, so that's 20 men each. A battalion of grunts, probably altogether 200. And then we had a MAGTAF, Marine Air Ground Task Force. So we had rotary wing, jump jets, and arty. And brother, the freaking sirens start going off on the mess deck. I'm watching the second tower get hit. And, a lot of our sailors are from New York, our Puerto Ricans, our Iraq brothers and Puerto Rican brothers. A lot of sailors out of New York, right? Dominican. And I'm seeing the brothers breaking down and crying. In my mind, again, that brain thing. All I can think of, it must be Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, because this doesn't happen to them.
Yeah.
Even though it was obvious they were the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
But my brain, I was just thinking, like in slow motion, I was praying for the Jews, and then it starts coming, starts really sinking in, and then over the loudspeaker, they're calling for recon and SEALs to get to the well deck, so we can start drawing our bang and our fills for our radios, and then so we all went to go fight in Pakistan first, and those grunts, Espera and his platoon commander, Nathan Fick, they were our grunts. Nathan Fick would later become my platoon commander, our platoon commander for the invasion of Iraq. Amazing man. Those grunts live hard, brother. We can't say enough about our Army and Marine Corps infantry. They live so hard, and we're blessed that we had we excelled in the time we did, so we could go to shit hot units with great assets and great responsibilities, so that we really lived big boy rules. And it was almost, we were living like warlords. Of course, we always respected the team and the platoon, but they lived in spider holes in 120-degree heat, and we're rocking and rolling, doing counter recon, counter sniper patrols in Pakistan. This place called Jacobabad, where the sewage table was higher than the land, because this is the airstrips. We had to bring everybody in to get all our assets to jump jet over and hit Afghanistan and then take Kandahar. So these men are living in sewage, in human excrement that's seeping into the holes. They never complain. They never complain. Fick is walking his lines every day, every night, making sure everybody's tied in. They're always in full flat Kevlar.
No, they're in full rattle battle. Always full rattle battle.
Always, brother. And then here we are. We got longer hair. We're living in a nice hangar. We get to clean ourselves now and again. These brothers did not, and we made close friends with a few of them that later became Recon Marines. Some of them now just retired out of CAG. So
wow.
yeah, he went on to do other things, either in the Green Berets or pararescue. And they were all just strong infantrymen. Then we went to go fight in Afghanistan and take Kandahar. And those out there, Kandahar is the Farsi name for Alexander, because that's as far north as Alexander the Great guy.
Got it.
So, brother, it was so historic, all this stuff we're doing. But I was too engaged and busy with my triplicate acetate overlays I had to fucking use for my on-call targets. It was that's the way it was back then. We were still.
I remember. You're building them. I remember I used to get an MRE box and get my acetate overlays. I would 100 mile an hour tape with a 100 mile an hour box on there, and I would draw. I still have my original one. I still have it saved.
That's some of my old map studies and some of my old acetates myself, brother. Isn't that well? I bet you these young kids don't even know what we're talking.
They don't even know. They probably get it on their phone, beep, 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 and it like pops
on
up
a tablet or something like that. It was so incredible, and after taking Kandahar and fighting and back home, I didn't see this video until 13 months later when I finally got back home. But with the tangos, the terrorists, the Al Qaeda guys doing the monkey bars, and he hit that training camp.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I didn't remember we were getting like TS stuff, and they kept the news the fuck away from us, and we were so busy with what we were doing, as you know, coordinating with great Army units. CAG was there, Damneck, and Aussie SAS, and nobody talks about them. They are a fantastic.
They are. They're tremendous.
They really are, brother. I know a few, by the way, Ian and Chris. I know a few. Brothers now out of service that are SAS, Aussie SAS, and some Brit SAS, SBS guys. I know you would love to have them on.
No, they're tremendous.
Yeah, no, we love having the international guys on. We were just talking about, we'll probably get into it later, but like we're trying to get Rob Furlong on, who, up until 2009 held that record for the longest sniper shot.
Oh, yeah. And is he the brother that's out of Canada?
Yeah. We were looking like 3, I believe, out of the 5 top snipers, Canadians. But you know what I was going to say? What you were saying earlier about the mentality of when 9/11 happened is really relatable to me, even as a guy who never served. In that, I live right here on Long Island. I was at the top of the tower in my high school when the attacks happened. We were able to see the smoke from the towers, and the same thing that you're saying, when we got this announcement that the towers have been flown into, the immediate reaction was actually like, what, was the pilot drunk? What a dumbass. Because no one thought, I think the younger listeners, like the listeners in their early 20s, the listeners who were 18, they don't realize that mentality in America, that pre 9/11, no one thought of terrorism here. It wasn't even on anyone's mind.
No, unless it was homegrown with the Oklahoma City bombing with the Kaczynskis. We were protected. We were untouchable. But we took a sense of complacency, which we shouldn't have, because we could have avoided it because we had all the warning signs prior to taking out Osama bin Laden early, which we could have in Africa.
Complacency kills. You're exactly right, brother. And Chris, you did. You were with a shit hot unit, and then went on to do the even more amorphous.
Well, talking about the SBS guys, those were my mentor. Integer was an SBS. Yeah, he was awesome. He was it. Yep.
And now when we go to, I went to work for state and was doing GATA, Global Anti-Terrorist Assistance Program. In Northeast Africa. A lot of Army dogs there too with me, and once we got out of the traditional military and into this nebulous geopolitical, political financial world, which is really where war starts and ends, really.
It does.
And we start to experience all these factors in how complex the world is, and how complex, how difficult it is for a good man to stay good, because now you have to compromise. Sometimes you have to compromise, and it hurts. Sometimes you compromise things you don't want to compromise, and or you hold the line and then people will turn their back on you. It's a very strange world out there. And I remember, Chris, there was a brother that looked just like you. And I always wondered if it was you because
I think we talked about it before. You I remember us talking about it.
I was in Kandahar. I was still the happiest Recon ring you ever seen. I was so happy. People were fighting combat, pandemonium in the ring. Still, I've got a shit hot M4. I get the booty cover. I can wear black PT gear, and I'm out around the side of the hangar with a little washcloth, washing up, cleaning my weapon, and a brother that looks just like you, goatee, gray goatee, chiseled face, and nice sunglasses. And he was wearing civilian clothes, but they looked sharp, and it was obvious by his posture and his bearing, he was a military man. Sure. But now he was probably GRS or somebody like this. Right?
Or probably ground branch or SAD.
Ground branch probably ground branch or somebody like that. And his weapon system had optics that I had not even seen yet. But he was so fucking gentle because I think he could see me and him when he was young. And I didn't know who he was, but we just start rapping, shooting the shit and checking out the weapons and talking about making some hot coffee later. And I didn't understand where guys like that fit yet, because during my wars, and even when I went to Fallujah and Ramadi, we started having more triple letter agency. Yep. But I guess it was so kinetic, and we were all, even the triple letter agency cats, brother, even guys like us now that were fighting then, they were all they were pretty freaking uniformed up too. There was no like cool guy in school no more. Everybody's got full protection on, often wearing BDUs because the very nature of the kinetic shit going on all the time. Yeah. Our little ex-officer shirts and our little 511 shirts and fucking khakis break the fuck down out there, right? That little, you know what I mean? The Tommy Bahama officer, the officers, the SF officers, brother, were wearing like Tommy Bahama.
What was the British one? Healy Hansen? Is that it?
I remember that. I think it was Helly Hansen.
Helly Hansen. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Pretty soon everybody went right back to BDUs. The shit was just too heavy. It's so wild. We get older and we see how complex the world is and how complex our nation is, how complex business is, and without the money, and if you know what, brother, Chris, I had a real hard time at the end of the Bush administration. In the beginning of the Obama administration, because that's when I was doing a lot of contracting for naval special warfare and for GATA. Sure. And this is around when you were hit, brother. You know, when you were hit in Benghazi, I got the call because we were rocking and rolling in Nairobi. And in Kenya, that's when I was at the same time. And we were getting work, but we couldn't support you. There was only 6 of us, and we had no freaking air asset to even get us there. And we're all freaking hearing what's going on. And then shortly after that freaking bloodbath, and then Nairobi's hit as well. Yeah. And then the next year or two, I'm watching ISIS run all the way through Iraq. And I've lost so many of my best friends.
Oh, yeah.
And some of my best friends are missing their freaking arms and half their leg. I was just with Kyle Carpenter a few days back, and just one of my beautiful scout sniper brothers. You know, he lost his eye. All of his freaking teeth are gone. His freaking face crushed. His freaking arm destroyed, everything. And now I'm watching the enemy driving Humvees and M1 Abrams. And I had a breakdown. Because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle what was all the suffering for. And then there were some Iraqis and Afghans that trusted in me and in my country to give them stability, and it all went away. And Chris, that's when I fell apart into first alcohol and then hard drugs. I didn't have love for myself. I didn't know how to love myself because the thing that I loved most in the world seemed to not make a difference or matter.
Well, we started to see, like Ian and I talked about before, we saw behind the curtain. Eventually, we stayed in long enough that Wizard of Oz curtain was behind there, and it wasn't some magical wizard. It was just some fallible man pulling prods and making things. And it really disappointed me too, because Libya, we were part of a mission that wasn't to overthrow a dictator, which we don't need to do anyway. That's ridiculous. Yep. As we find out, that shit doesn't work. But it was to arm a terrorist group to destabilize. And I remember going to Yemen after Libya and watching that and being part of all those drone strikes without due process, killing. We killed the wrong people, hitting the wrong people, killing Yemeni Americans, and going, what the hell? And it bothered me after I came back. It's like, because in Iraq, I think maybe you were the same way. When I first went into Iraq, I was, hey, hearts and minds, let's go. Yes, we're going to liberate these people. And then seeing it towards the end after 11 years going, that's not what we were doing at all. Holy shit. What the hell did I do Okay, I killed terrorists. Great, I did. We saved some people. I made some great friends in Afghanistan, Iraq. Local, like when you said the local people, my local interpreters that we had to leave there. The one that said to me, "Hey, you guys are leaving, right?" And he knew he was going to die. I'm like, "Yeah, we're
exactly.
Gonna, yeah." But then thinking, what was all this for?
What was it for? And so I was very upset for a long time, brother. But then as now even more years have gone by, and we got to settle some things ourselves.
Yeah.
I recognize that even this freaking oil business, business, if we don't protect it and if we don't dominate it, then of course, not that anybody appreciates America these days, but we wouldn't have this gorgeous quality of life and the ability to be anybody you want. And sadly, that's what's happening now. People don't appreciate it.
Yeah, it is. It has to be a bit of a mind fuck. And we've had those guys on who have lost limbs in combat. And it's like you went over there for righteous reasons, for reasons that you felt were promoting the American values that we have, and also to take out the terrorists. And I think the anger towards politicians, because you guys aren't the ones who make the decisions of what countries we go into and why we go there.
Policy.
Yeah.
We execute policy, and we do not make policy. And there's some beauty to that. I mean, that's the definition of samurai. You know, a samurai does that. You know, a samurai, whatever the order comes from his lord, by honor and duty to the highest calling, we take our emotion out of it and execute. Well, there is a dark side to that too, when those orders are not good orders, or there's or there's not enough foresight to understand primary, then secondary and tertiary effects of certain policies and fighting and war. I think that more Americans should spend their time studying history and economics to really appreciate our country and how on a precipice the world is if we do not continue to fight the good fight. And that starts first in our own hearts about how do we hold ourselves, how do we respect ourselves, how do we respect our women, our family, how do we respect our community, what standards do we have for ourselves?
I think we go to dark places when we get, at least I do. When I get into politics, it's not something I even want to get into. And then I see the other veterans that run in political, that run for office, whether it's Brian Mast or Dan Crenshaw. And they say good things at times, but again, they still become politicians, and they have to suck up to the political committees. They have to suck up and take a side. And I was never political when I was in. I wasn't Republican. I wasn't Democrat. I was just me. I called bullshit when I saw it, and I couldn't run as either again because I've seen bullshit on both sides, and I won't get into that.
I agree with you so much, brother. And yeah, I guess maybe because I was poor and Mexican American, I was taught by the ambient welfare environment that I grew up in to mistrust business, money, white people, for real. And then also though, after crack hit the streets and it started immense street violence. I used to live in a black neighborhood and there was one or two poor white families there, and this is in the late 70s, early 80s, and everybody loved me so much because I loved to play in the street, play football, and I was just a go-getter kid. And no matter what was going on hard in my own life at 7, 8, 9 years old, I always had a smile on my face. And
you and Chris are very alike, by the way.
Yeah.
So funny. Football, like happy, Mexican American.
Always trying to add value. Trying to add value. And then when the streets started falling apart and crime became so extreme, now fathers are gone from the house because they're strung out on drugs. Now there's immense crime, there's immense violence, and now racial hatred is popping off. Now, where that was different was in the Omaha Home for Boys. All we had was each other. We had Native Americans, a lot from Sioux City.
No, dude, from the Omaha Res is just right up the road. It's right up 30 miles away from me.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And their families devastated from alcoholism and impoverished thinking. Poor blacks, poor whites.
Yeah.
And these whites, brother, and Americans don't know this. The whole world is not LA and New York.
Yeah.
It's not the whole country is not LA and New York. So the poor white boys in my boys' home, their parents had to give them up because the farms had failed.
Yeah.
These are hard-working, generational people that were homesteaders, generations of homesteaders that ran the farms. And now, due to globalization, farms are failing. These kids, their parents couldn't take care of them. So you had a God-fearing, prideful kids that had a family, and now economically, they're there in the boys' home too. And then we did not have many Latinos because we tend to take care of the family.
No, right? You do. Latinos do. Yeah, you're right. No.
So it was so interesting. Here we are, different races, and then at the boys' home, brother, we have to go to Monroe Junior High and Fontenelle, Monroe, and Benson.
Yeah.
So we do have to socialize in the inner city, and it's primarily black and working class white. We, through sport and through survival, because people looked at us boys' home kids, they called us homeboys, as throwaways, and we couldn't go out really. We couldn't go out on the weekends. We didn't have the money for the nice preppy clothes for status, and yet we worked in the boys' home to make a little bit of money. And as a tribe, there was no race. And it was the same thing in the military. There is no race. There is green, cami up, or dark green if you're a little darker. That's it. So we call our black Marines, our black Recon Marines, and our black Scout Snipers, we don't call them black. We call them dark green because we're all wearing the uniform and all camied up, baby. And it's so interesting that we're regressing now at this later stage in our country's history, and our political parties are making money on this. And this is the thing about, and this is why, Chris, I mentioned political reform. We don't need to talk about parties. Let's talk about political reform, election reform, where regular good people can actually afford to run, so that it is not so polarized.
No, it is right.
This is a nation of all religions and all races.
Yeah.
No,
it is.
We don't seem to have that representation, though, in DC.
Well, and one of the problems is, and if I could throw that, go
ahead. I
don't know if I'm hearing an echo from one of you. Well, I think I'm fine now. There we go. One of the problems is if people get elected who aren't polarized, they get demonized. I mean, I've mentioned this before, like the senator from Arizona, Kyrsten Sinema, who's a Democrat. I don't know if people remember this. This sounds like conspiracy shit. You can look it up. It's real. When Trump gave a State of the Union speech, and he said something she agreed with. I don't even remember what it was. She stood up and she applauded. Democrat stood up next to her and said in her ear, "Watch your ass," meaning you don't applaud for anything the other side does. And that's the problem with this country.
You all know your history. Doesn't this feel so much like Julius Caesar's Rome that we're in the middle of right now? The daggers are out, brother. The daggers are out. Have you all had Tulsi Gabbard on your program yet?
I would love to. She's great.
Okay. She's a friend of mine, and I'm very.
If we could do it, that would be awesome. Because
this
truly,
is the
I've said
right here.
before. I mean, it's like she is a war fighter. She's a patriot, and according to Hillary Clinton, who voted for the wars that she was in, she is a Russian traitor.
Imagine if she far outqualifies ethically and experientially world experience Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, who's the president now?
Biden.
Yeah,
because he's so out to lunch. But he's an old man. He shouldn't even be there. Actually, about the Democratic Party has no class and no respect right now that they're putting truly a feeble old man up there just for politics. He should be at home with his family. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's getting into and rolling into that segue. If people, and we get these politicians or people that want to get into politics when they have their home to fix. If more people would just fix their home, fix themselves, politics wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. We're wanting these politicians that want to save us when it's just save
right
your
here.
home. It
starts right here.
It is. It is, and that's where I know I've gotten better. It wasn't some politician that helped me. It was me fixing myself and making me a better father, a better brother, a better husband, and a better son. And if everybody did that in there, then it wouldn't make a difference who we had in office.
And by the way, she'd be great to have on. 100%. She'd be great to have on.
I think Tulsi is now an independent because she's gotten so much freaking flack.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The reason she'd be great to have on, because we don't really get political on here, and I've been asked before, are you going to have this guy on who's running or this? And I really don't want to, because I don't want to have us endorse anybody. Sure. But the thing with her is she's done. She's getting out of politics, from what I know.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't have her on as we need to get this woman elected. I would like to hear about her serving in Afghanistan and Iraq. I'd love to hear about that.
Absolutely. She's an example of the American dream. So why we're very close is because Hawaii's having problems with their reefs too. And, with Force Blue, we're doing ocean conservation and rebuilding coral reefs. And
I'd love to get into that, by the way. I know we're going long here, but I'd love to hear about that.
Well, it's going to be rad. And Chris, you're going to come down. Yeah, it's so rad. So Tulsi, she is Indian, I believe, Hindu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hindu. And wore the uniform as an officer and went out to fight for our country. If that's not the American example and the American dream, just like the Italian Americans did in World War I and in the Civil War, and the Germans and the Polish, and we had African Americans that were from Africa that came to the North and as indentured servants and then became citizens. Then we have all of our Latino community south of the border. And of course, who's really whooped it on, our Asian American community. They have done such miraculous things. It's an example, and I think on this podcast, it's an example of great Americans that are action oriented, and we're inclusive. It has to start though with yourself, Chris. Chris and I have known each other for some years now. It seems like, when Chris was hurting, I had a little bit of stability, and then we hang and we talk and we spend a little time, and then Chris caught his groove, and then I was struggling for a while. It wasn't until I created Force Blue, brought my team back together, got my health together. After 2 years, I met Jade, and immediately I was ready to build a life, get married, and have my home in order. It must start there with all of the things that you see on the news. It's so macro and cart before the horse. It's cart before the horse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I've had some, Chris, some people have mentioned to me about getting into the politics. Of course, I'm like, well, you guys better get ready for a lot of cocaine. You guys got to know it. I was in a mental institution for a year, like street fight. You better get ready.
You're not going to dig up any crap on me because I'm just going to tell it. You're going to have a 8-pound bag of it right here. Baby.
That's right. I look back at some of those pictures, Chris. I was so thin, baby. I was so thin. But I was so psycho in pain. I accepted. I love to feel pain. So I was not ready to have my house in order. I was in pain. I was emotionally in pain. I was psychologically in pain. I was physically in pain. And I didn't know. I didn't know where I fit anymore, Chris. Remember, we talked. We were both getting pretty drunk. And we had some other commandos with us. We were in New York, and here we are being adored by our New Yorkers. This is a freaking war hero and fought. How about this? Chris fought skillfully. I'll say that. Chris fought skillfully, and that's right. A brother can tell you that. You're running good ops, right? Chris fought skillfully. I was lucky and fought skillfully too, and lucky because shit was going all over the place. Luck is always a big part of it. It really was God's plan, right? And we had some other brothers with us, some SEALs, some Green Berets. There was a brother with us, a great friend of mine who's an 18 Delta and was getting ready to go back. We were in our cups, and we all talked about, like, where do we fit? And we looked nice. We had our jacket and ties. I had a cutoff T-shirt, but everybody else had jacket and ties. We were at some nice bar in New York City. Everyone's buying our drinks.
Was it O'Looney's?
It was O'Looney's. I think it was O'Looney's. No, it was O'Looney's.
But we were like, where do we fit? And until we figure out that we fit at home, that's where we fit.
Yeah.
As you said before, a father, husband, son, community member, and leader. Until we find where we fit, the rest of it's just falling.
You're searching for that filler that's never going to fill the actual hole that needs to be filled with being a better person, with virtue, and that starts at home. No matter how great, as I said, people would say, "Oh, you did this." In the back of my head, I'm like, God, I'm a dirtbag because I'm a terrible father right now. I'm not home. I'm a terrible husband right now. I at that time I had divorced from my wife that I reconciled with, my current one, which is like, man, and they're like, oh, this is great, but. It was until I could able to look at myself, and I know you did the same self-reflection. Went like, okay, quit buying into the bullshit. Quit feeding your ego, and fix your fucking self. A Ranger buddy, Ben Morgan, had to tell me that. He had to say, hey, dude, you need to fix your fucking self.
I love that, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a man.
He's like, tremendous guy.
He exudes a soft confidence and a care, and him and I have become. Quite close to, and Benny too, and Ben's when Morgan says to me, Morgan Timing, all you guys check him out there, he's amazing. He says, Rudy, since I met you, I've gotten fitter again and feeling better about myself, and I thought that past of being healthy was over. Now I'm feeling healthier.
Yeah, he's looking good.
And I'm like, thank you that I could even do that as inspiration, and. Force Blue, of course, what did I do? I leaned on my brothers. I said, hey, Jeff Reeves, SEAL. Hey, Roger Sparks. I got this guy named Tom, and he's a freaking Ranger from Grenada.
Holy shit. That's old school.
And he's a Green Beret too, but he was with the regiment for some time before he went over.
Yeah.
Very socially awkward, very strange, but a stud. And one of the greatest divers I've ever known. And we worked together so long. We had, and then I had a British Royal Marine Commando over on the first team. We had all these great guys. All of us were a little messed up at the time. Either relationships were failing, or health was failing, or sanity, or always looking for the next gunfight because we didn't know what else to do for ourselves. We started creating that buoyancy, and then people's lives started coming to life. My Royal Marine Commandos got 2 kids now. Clark, my SBS guy, old school. How legit is this when your call sign is Ghost? I mean, you got a great call sign too.
No,
that's a pretty damn good call sign. But
what was your call sign? Speaking of what,
you know what they always just said, Rudy. You know what I mean? And they used to call me Karate Kid. Nice. And of course, Lance Corporal, happy to be here. It was he lost like 60 pounds. Now he's running. The European, the SBS, SAS guys do this mountain program that goes into the civilian world where they lead incredible expeditions. Yeah. That's what he does all the time. Prolific rock climber now. My life, Jade and I are moving to Charleston, South Carolina next week.
Sweet.
Business is good. We've got some steaks in the freezer. I've got a relationship with my son again, who loved my life, and I didn't see him for some time because legal struggles with the mom, and mostly it was because I was still a little too dangerous, and I was not stable enough. And I first leaned on my team. We all started just helping each other up by doing great work together, just like when I went and trained with you and Benny and Morgan out there at the.
And everybody got hypothermia. Yeah, that was
well, except for me. Right? The steam was coming up. And combative. Chris, do you remember the combatives? I'm throwing cats.
Oh, you guys, that was hilarious. That was a great course, man.
Everybody coming together, and it just elevates. It's the rising tide raises all ships. I think that's something to go forward to. Always remember, and that, Chris, that's what I love. Your training package is mostly for the experience of being around you.
Oh, that's you're too nice. But when you have students like we did, and the other students fed off you. We had that other Marine. I want to tell you what, he actually left.
The other Marine is born again hard, brother. He left so much.
After he came to another course, and he's like, I'm meant for something better. He left law enforcement, and now at that level, and now he went to ATF. And to him, that was the next step.
Now he's going, thanks to you, thanks to us.
Nah, you're the one that were throwing around the car, dude. You saw him, hey, you need to get a little harder.
What a fight, but he wouldn't give up either, brother. It was so incredible. I can't wait for Jade to come do the program with you.
She got to come. But we ain't, she's got the pistol down. We ain't doing pistol shit. She's going to come to do rifle stuff. That's what
awesome. And she's going to fight in and out of cars.
Oh, hell yeah. Damn right she is.
Oh, it's so rad. It's so rad. Oh, brother. And the community portion of us being out there and inspiring people the right way. And it kind of also, wouldn't you say it gives us, it's immediate feedback to where we're at in our character and our happiness and our health. When we've got to lead and we've got to support, if we're not sleeping right, if we're drinking too much, if we're not communicating correctly, and it normally means we're not communicating at home correctly either, then it won't work. It's a great litmus test, and we got to keep doing more of it.
I definitely will, but there's a balance where I overdid it. And I know and that's one thing I learned from you is that I remember when you were doing it, and you said, man, I'm going way too much. And I had to look at Rudy and say, okay, what did Rudy tell me? Because the balance wasn't there. It was too much work, too much speaking.
I think I said something simply around like, you need to say no more, Chris.
Yeah, you need to say more often. You need to say no more often.
Because it means more yes to Chris Peralta.
Yeah, and more yes to my kids and my family, which even though I wasn't deploying, it was like, holy shit, I'm still gone. What am I? This is
Have you had Pat McNamara on this thing yet?
Yeah, we had Pat.
That's the man.
Pat will do the same thing. And you know what, Chris? When I was going through my things, I thought it was just me. I thought I was a shithead. I thought I was a dumbass, and I thought I was weak because I was having these same freaking problems. I come to find out it happens to every single one of us.
Yeah.
And I love Pat. Pat is like the metalhead of all metalheads. We have to have him on again.
Plays guitar, illustrates, has a sense of humor. Does that man got a sense of humor or what? And back to the brotherhood. How about like my first fundraiser in Atlanta? We just had Force Blue was just a logo. We hadn't even done our first mission. We didn't even know exactly what we were going to do. So Force Blue takes former operations commanders like ourselves, retools our skills, our amphib skills to now do ocean conservation. with the science community.
That's cool.
With PhDs in ocean conservation, in marine biology, and now we are partners with NOAA. We are partners with OSHA. These world level ocean conservation organizations. We are partners with the Cousteau Society. We are partners with the NFL. But now we've got private business, NFL. We've got Pepsi. We've got Tiffany's. Now we're looking to bring on Land Rover. I think it's a model that we bring in private business. We bring in warriors for the liberal world too, in the good way. If you can't love our country and these beautiful resources that we have, then you're missing the boat, no pun intended. At first, I thought these cats were going to be all tree huggers, even though I was the softest in the heart of my teammates, even though I'm still a little bit of a savage. And some of my other teammates were like, man, fuck these tree huggers. You know what I mean? What the fuck they know? And then we're subsurface. We're crushing tanks, and we're doing stuff that's so epic, and we're kind of intimidating these people. We come to find out over time, seeing how much passion they have and how much work they're doing. And now these scientists PT with us, they've lost weight and changed lives. And we have become softer and more understanding to their passion, which is helping, just like us military men. We want to help. And then we have private money and now federal money because we've been in D.C. And that's the hardest combat I've ever been in, brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't.
It's an incredible model. And just to give you a cutie from me to Udy, Stallone called us 3 weeks ago, my idol. And
I'm like, this goes full circle into how you became a Marine.
So Sly is bringing the team to his beach house in Florida to do a quiet fundraiser for us. And I got to know Sly really well through his personal trainer and the guru of all conditioning and training, Gunnar Peterson, LA Lakers sports and conditioning coach, the Kardashians, Stallone, Mike Tyson. I mean, you freaking name it, right? It's the Gunnar Peterson in Beverly Hills, a dear brother of mine. So somebody sent a meme. I don't know if we can see it. So somebody sent a meme to me last week. And, I love my fans. You got to love your fans. You really do. We're blessed to have an audience, Chris. You and I are blessed to have an audience.
Yeah.
I've learned to be, and I think we should be very gracious to them. Very gracious.
No, they're
very gracious.
They and honestly, even with social media, your supporters. I know yours do. They're the ones that fight our battles, so we don't have to anymore. And that's harder than anything. And
when
that's
somebody
tremendous.
talks shit, Chris, has this happened to you? When somebody talks shit, we don't even say anything, and then you got about 100 cats come on there.
I don't even think Chris knows that this happened yesterday. Yesterday on Battleline podcast,
and that's
yesterday on @Battleline podcast on Instagram. Really? Some guy was like, I heard from some Marine that what happened at Benghazi didn't really happen, and that these guys were scared to shoot, and then they wrote books about being heroes. And of course, people are in the comments being like, "You're full of shit," and then the guy's like, Chris won't respond, so you're going to ban me. And I said to him, I was like, I'm not going to ban you. Just don't spam the page. You can believe whatever you want to believe.
But that's the beauty. And that's what's so awesome about having tremendous fans. Not that I want you guys to get, I don't want you to battle these people. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the effort. But I do want to say thank you for really, because that's they're sticking up for me. So I don't have to waste the time and energy, which I know you're a very soft-hearted individual, and it does piss you off, but it's that energy that you're taking away from things that are important, like you and your girlfriend, like you and your energy with me is taking away time from me and my wife. So I don't have to work, and that's so all you people that help me out there with that, just on the social media side, thank you, because you have no idea how much you've saved me and given time to my family.
You're now more vital for where it matters most is
it is
in your castle emotionally, spiritually, and in your relationship as you being the freaking King Arthur, your castle, and you have your knights out there, even people you've never even met,
and that's what's wonderful.
What you're doing is profound. So this is the meme. This is the meme. We'll see.
Okay,
hold on. Oh, I can't see it. It's too much of a glare.
Yeah, I see it. Sylvester Stallone. Yeah.
Okay, I'll read you what it says.
Okay, read
what it says. It says, proof that Rudy Reyes hasn't aged since 1981.
Oh, is that and you got the John? But that is,
now,
you know how? Okay, go.
I agree.
Go.
Come on.
Go.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So I send it to Gunner. I said, Gunner, could you send this to Sly and tell him what an honor it is that people would even put me next to this freaking icon? Because I've got to spend some time with Sly, and he's very humble, very wise. He's 73 or 74 years old.
Which is amazing. I mean, the guy's freaking jacked.
And we always meet at the gym and train together. And he said, could you pass it to Sly? Some kid made this for me. Tell him what an honor that, you know, how it comes full circle and how much it means to me. So he sends it to Sly. Sly says, let's see here. He says, tell Rudy, I've never been in anywhere close to as good shape as him. Never stop punching, Sly. And I sent it to my Marine Corps brothers and some of my people that I knew. I said, what a freaking honor that somehow my work in life has brought me to a place where I can have platforms like this, people that were icons that helped inspire us when we were kids. When we can talk about conservation, ocean conservation with Tulsi Gabbard, when we have our supporters changing their lives because of our example.
And we can do locker room talk too and be fine with it. We can talk shit to each other and be perfectly politically incorrect and still be on the same program.
It's so incredible. It's so incredible. And let's think about that. Let us never stop punching. Let's stay engaged. Let's stay engaged. Stay engaged in our lives and in the things that matter most. And we must never, ever, let me say that there's no creativity possible in a victim state of mind.
Yeah, no, you're
There's
right.
no creativity. And whenever I felt lost, I couldn't find my way out. And I was not creative because I felt really lost. And I felt that I had been defeated. And a matter of fact, you know what? I got a call yesterday from my co-founder, Jim, that somebody in desperation reached out to the Force Blue line, a mother. I didn't know the lady's name, New Yorker. I could tell by the accent. He forwarded me the message. And, you know, sometimes also, Chris, I don't know if I imagine this has happened to you. You've had stalkers too. You've had some negativity. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Or people pretending to be you and manipulating.
Okay. Yeah.
That's happened to us. And so I talked to Cable and Jim. Cable's my best friend. Jim is having Cable kind of run interference to run it down. Well, I find out that a New York Marine Corps brother of mine from all my New York contingencies, you might have been even there that night when we were at that bar.
Okay.
And he became a lawyer, did something with himself, but I think he's in deep, deep struggle. And his mother's desperate for me to talk to him. So that's the other part of us having this platform, is that with great power comes great responsibility. So I'm gonna talk to him today, and I'm gonna pray for him. Thanks to Jade and thanks to Force Blue, I have God back in my life as well.
And you need that.
I've had a hard time praying my whole life because when I was a little boy, my mother dropped me off on that freaking Omaha Home for Boys step, and I prayed that she would come back, and she never did.
Yeah.
I stopped praying. You know what I mean? Sometimes our greatest abilities for survival prevent us from accepting love, and now I'm working on that.
You're doing great, brother. You're doing great. And again, I get that, where you have to do your due diligence to make sure that these calls are legitimate or not, because sometimes it's just someone that just wants to talk to you about politics, that's at the best case scenario. Or at the worst case scenario,
they want to extort you for money.
I've had that happen to me before, and I know you have as well. Now with my family and you have Jade, you have to be protective of them as well, because they are part of that, where it's an easier target to get to you or to find ways. So I get it, brother. And there's no disrespect. I completely understand. I do the same thing. That's why I have Jeremy Mitchell. That's why Ian's even there. If they go to the Battleline, he filters that shit out. So all right, this really isn't legit. But I get that. But that's wonderful that you're doing that. You have people that are looking out for you, and you look. I mean, you always look good, but your eyes look better.
Yeah, brighter. Aren't I brighter?
And that's awesome, hard. That's hard to do, dude. You're like the fucking emoji with the stars in your eyes.
Yeah, brother. And Chris, how are you? 49 now or 48?
I told you I was. How dare you? I'm 22.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the dog years. I guess.
I'm 50.
Brother, I turned 50 like in 5 or 6 months, and I've never felt more. I've never been happier since the day I was born. Till now. You find a sense of zen. You find like you're finally reaching the wisdom stages of your life where you don't have to be that fat. I love have you ever watched Colors? I know everybody's probably watched Colors. You don't have to be that young bull that runs down the hill. Oh, true.
And not that I'm going to fuck anybody. I'm not just saying using that as an analogy.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the young bull anymore to fuck the one cow. You just have to be the old guy that walks down and fucks. But again, I only have one woman that I do that with.
I hear you.
So it's just an analogy. Okay.
It is. It means that one day we get in our life after years of being that aggressive warrior, tough guy, and being that dumbass too, because some of the things we learn best are from our mistakes, from being arrogant bastard and a selfish bastard or whatever. We didn't realize we were being selfish at the time, but the truth is we were just I was overwhelmed with power and energy, and I guess maybe I had such a chip on my shoulder from everything I'd been through. I don't want to listen to nobody.
No, you're right.
And we're all get older, and we learn from our mistakes, and we pick ourselves up and brush ourselves off, and then say, I'm sorry, and then start letting the love in. And now we don't have to be in a rush.
No, there's nothing. We don't. You can sit on your porch when you're 80, rocking in your rocking chair, going, man, I lived a great life. This is all gravy. This is all gravy. No, you're awesome.
And that's a great way to end it here. I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff. We haven't even touched on HBO Generation Kill or any of that.
I'd love to do that on TV, guys. You can just
That's true. We can definitely do a part 2 though at some point. Maybe even have Jade on. I know, with her in her own right as an actress and social media person. I mean, she'd be great to have on. And Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, we're on episode 85. She might be a good episode 100. Just throwing it out there. Okay. She'd be pretty cool to have on. But no, we really appreciate it.
And we're going to get you back on, brother. We definitely have you, of course. And just because of, I love you, man. You got to come back, brother.
I love you. Ian, thank you for getting together with this. And John Yowie,
of course,
my manager, he's a Marine as well, still in the Guard, or still in the reserves. And he chopped his way through Iraq as well. All of us, we work together, brother. And so thank you so much. I love you all very much. Remember, everybody, believe in yourself. Give thanks to your higher power every day. It's by that grace. And the more physically healthy and active you are, the better your system is to appreciate this special thing called life. So stay fit.
So we're recording the outro here, but I was going to say, we went really long there, but it was funny. I mean, Rudy, I will say, was like shot out of a cannon the first few minutes of that. I wasn't sure if we'd get into anything that deep, and because we started off the show with a story of him almost beating some guy's ass in some club, and then somehow we got into military service, Sylvester Stallone, faith, adoption. I mean, hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. I certainly did.
That's why I do love having relationships, the good relationships I developed with some of these again, air quotes, guys, public figures in the community, because we have a good enough friendship, and Rudy and I are very close. A good enough friendship that we're not afraid to talk about things that maybe we wouldn't talk about on other shows, because we have a relationship and we know it's in the best interest of people to hear it, but it also helps us. Yeah, it's very cathartic for
I
us.
could tell. I could tell he had no problem going long, and this.
No, and he's tremendous.
He was great. I know we went really long here, but I kind of promised these people we'd read these emails real quick.
Let's get it.
So we'll get these on because these were too good not to mention, and the fact that you're not here next week.
And I didn't know that. Yeah, see, I didn't know we had a troll. Who gives a shit? If it would have been on my main feed on the troll, all I do with that kind of stuff anymore, I delete it and block them. I got no time for it.
He was like threatening for me to block him, and I just said, hey, you can write whatever you want. If you start spamming us, yes, I am going to block you.
Yeah.
If you somehow think that Benghazi didn't go the way it went down, that you, Tig, all of these guys will say, then I don't know what to tell you, all I can do is laugh at it because it's fucking stupid.
Well, there's nothing anymore. Trolls are going to troll, and the more you try to, you can't reason with it, and it's not for reason. It's there because somebody is feeling either insecure or they really have nothing else better to do. And maybe there's some sort of, I don't know if I'm a big George Soros is paying people to troll accounts anymore. Like I hear, but there are times where it may be just they feel like it's their duty, their job to do that because they are so politically inclined on one side or the other. So I ain't got the time for it. I don't deal with it anymore. I don't fight with it anymore. It's ridiculous. I delete it. I block it. I move on. And I'm okay.
I really don't pay it any mind. And the only reason I brought it up is because it somehow got brought up.
Yeah, but that's really it. It's great.
I wouldn't have even thought about it. But anyway, these emails are obviously not from trolls. These are very positive, and that's why I wanted to mention them since you're not going to be here next week, and they're too important not to read. So this was amazing. This is from Jill. Hi, Chris and Ian. I just wanted to share with you how much I love listening to your podcast. I think you guys nailed it a few weeks ago when you talked about your fan base and what they want to hear, listen to, or learn from our veterans. I have to admit, Chris, I had no idea what happened in Benghazi back in 2012, but I knew I had to educate myself before the 2016 election. I first came across the Fox interview that you did with Oz and Tig, where you guys explained everything, and I thought to myself, why would these guys lie? What would they gain from lying? Then I watched the movie 13 Hours. I've since seen it multiple times and enjoy when you talk on the podcast about certain things in the movie which helped me understand even more. I've read your book, The Patriot's Creed, and I've seen you speak multiple times on video clips on YouTube. I just love how honest you are. It's really refreshing. I guess that leads me to today and listening to your podcast. I love your guests. I love hearing their stories, and several have moved me to buy their books. The one that has touched me the most so far is when Chris Bussler was on and spoke about how he went above and beyond and took so much pride in making sure our fallen soldiers came home with an American flag wrapped perfect around their coffin. I cried while listening to that podcast, and that very night downloaded his book to my Kindle. It is one of the best books I've read, and once again helps me understand what our troops went through overseas. I also found myself moved when you had Julia Mackey on, and I read her book and was amazed at how wrong the media portrayed what really happened in Washington, D.C. Renee Nickel, I also read her book after listening to your podcast. Another amazing read. I could go on and on. Just recently listening to Sean Lake speak of his best friend Glenn Doherty, and was another very moving podcast. Thank you so much for what you do and for bringing these stories to life in a way. We need to know what these soldiers went through to better understand why they come home broken. I also think it helps those of us on the outside better understand. Much respect, Jill Zacco, Tampa, Florida. That was the best email we've ever gotten.
That was great. That was fantastic. And she basically hit what we're trying to convey here on the podcast. And that's, not just that veterans or those that go through adversity become broken, but they find their way through it and they're able to repair themselves. As this podcast people are going to see with Rudy. Rudy was one broke motherfucker. Tell you what, girl. Yeah. But he repaired himself, found a way with the help of others, whether it was his teammates, whether it was the love of his life, which is Jade, whether it was his son, which even though he just touched on it, I thought that was amazing. Hey, I found a way to get a relationship back with my son, which is so important. You want to be the best father because that is your legacy, guys. That is our legacy. Our children are our legacies. Our sons, is our legacies. And to me, that made my heart warm because I never heard him say that before, which was amazing, which means he's in a good spot. So thank you for the email. And that's what this show's about. Yeah, we'll discuss a little bit of other stuff. We'll do our locker room talk because hey, I'm a Ranger. That's what we do. So this is part of our part of us, and I don't have a problem with it at all. And but on the bigger picture, this podcast is about hard times, whether you be a service member or not, or whether you be in a specific branch of service, the Navy, Air Force, so forth, whether you be male or female, it doesn't make a difference. And going through that hard point, but then coming out shining on the other side by finding a way to overcome maybe that obstacle or that failure, because we do all fail, guys. I failed before as well, but we learn from those failures to get stronger. One step back to 2 steps forward. And that's how we learn. And every one of us has gone through special operations community. We've all failed at something, but we learned from those failures, picked ourselves up and tried again and did it right the next time, or the third time, or the fourth time, but we didn't quit. So yeah, I love that email. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. And emails like that are precisely why we do the podcast. You know, it really is. That's the bigger picture for sure. You know, we like to talk about major issues going on, and yeah, I'll be honest. I'll say it. We have to clickbait a little. We have to come up with the most salacious headline for people to click on. But what we hope people get out of it is the positivity. I mean, I wish I could just come up with a positive line for every. I've noticed this for every show, but I realize, you know, if it's like that last episode, which you got to blow up a place, it was like, you know, and this isn't negative, but the greatest sniper kill shot. That's what people want to hear. But then when they tune in, I think they'll get something more out of it than just that. We're not just talking about the news. We're not just talking about like one act of courageousness. We're talking about stuff that, as you said, service members and civilians could relate to.
That's what I love, is that we don't just talk about one act. People don't know, if you know Rudy Reyes, or you've never heard of Chris Bustler, or you've read his book, or you just know he's a Marine. Guys, and even myself, we've gone through more than just one thing in our life. And especially if we've done multiple deployments or basic training, we have stories from all of that. It's not just one thing. And that, I think, is tremendous that people can listen to, because they can hear of all the things that Julia Mackey went through, Rudy Reyes went through, Chris Bustler went through, that Sean Lake that didn't serve, but what he went through with Bub, and can talk about Bub's, all the different things that he did, not just Benghazi, not just Iraq and Generation Kill, not just one deployment in Afghanistan or in Iraq that Bustler did, not just one thing that Julia Mackey did, whether it was her DC or other things that she's done with her in her career. It's multiple. So you find out that, wait a second, these guys have actually learned how to embrace the suck, and they've overcome because of all the things they went through leading up to, which they learned from and took from, and whether it was negative or positive, they took from it and grew from it, which everybody can do that in just your everyday life, whether it's bad or good. Learn from it, take it within yourself, find a way that overcome it. And then when you're faced with that adversity again, you know how to overcome it. So it's no longer an obstacle. It's no longer something that's going to get your adrenaline up. It's like, okay, well, I've done this before. I know I can overcome this. All right, let's just do it and keep moving on. And you just continue to become stronger and stronger throughout your life until you become old like me, in his 50s. And you really, it's nice. The wisdom that I never thought I would have, and that I saw and emulated, I wanted to emulate in the older generation of Rangers that I looked up to, or my grandfather, or my father, or my mother. I'm able to finally start, wait a second, I'm able to get to that wisdom now. I understand. It's fantastic. So, tremendous email, and all you out there that continue to listen to us, thank you so much for listening to us. And I think do we have any more questions?
Well, this one is from a guy who you're friends with, Corey from Coat of Arms.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the man. Great dude. But I had to mention this because it pertains to the last episode. And it's something I guess we overlooked, we weren't aware of. And sent to battlelinepodcast@gmail.com, which I have to repeat for you guys. If you want to send anything in, send it there. Hey, Ian and Chris, just wanted to give feedback on the new format for your Q&A episodes. Really enjoyed it. Great job, fellas. And you know, it's not necessarily a new format. It's something we do now and again. I try to throw one in every month or every couple of months because we like to do them. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So he said, also, I wanted to give you a recommendation. I know you mentioned about PJs not having a movie about them. Ironically, last night, I just watched a 2020 release that focused on a PJ from Vietnam, who 30 years later received the Medal of Honor. The movie title is The Last Full Measure. The PJ is William H. Pitsenbarger. Figured it might be a good little tidbit of it for your audience and a great way to recognize his heroism. So that's awesome. So check that out, The Last Full Measure. I'll try to check it out. And then he says, in addition, I can't speak for him, but Canadian former longest sniper kill in combat, Rob Furlong, is a friend of mine. He would be a great guest. If interested, let me know. And then I got in touch with Corey, and Rob said he would love to come on. So I know next month I have fully booked, but July, Rob Furlong. I mean, if Rudy Reyes could do it, maybe Tulsi Gabbard. those are some big names. We'll see.
Well, and that's what you're there for, brother. You know me. You just tell me he's going to be on, and I show up. But I show up and try to just not have too much jackassery.
Forming these great connections, when Rudy says, "Hey, have you ever heard Tulsi Gabbard?" Of course we would have her on. I mean, and I actually, like I said, I like the fact that she's done with politics, because I don't necessarily, and even though I'm a fan of hers, I don't necessarily want to do an interview of this is why I'm running, blah, 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 because I don't feel this show, and I don't care who it is like in the business of getting people elected.
No,
it's like the opposite of what we do. I'd rather hear about her serving bravely and also about her career in Congress. And like I said, you guys will have something in common with, she may be a Democrat, you may be a more conservative guy, but I think you both have a justified anger towards Hillary Clinton, whether it's what she did to you and for her, to basically, because she doesn't go along with the program, that she wants to pull troops out of places that somehow, she's, as Rudy said, she's Indian, but somehow, she's got to be working for the Russians because she doesn't agree with the Democratic Party line on things. Like, it's completely ridiculous. And it shows that Hillary Clinton is an absurd person.
And that maybe we have something in common there. I guess, my anger, when you say Hillary Clinton, to me, I'm just meh. What it's so? Do I hate? I don't even think of the Clintons and any of that anymore. I could care less that they are.
But here's the thing with her,
out of my life.
She is. I just love her attitude towards things, and I don't think you watched any of the primary debates.
No,
Democrats, but it was funny because when she was up against all of them, and Kamala Harris was talking about, people getting locked up for nonviolent drug offenses, Tulsi had no problem being like, you locked up a lot of people for marijuana for these things, and now you're up on stage talking about you're a warrior for this. Like, there's a lot of people in jail because of you. So I think she is, and look, I know I don't want to get political, but I just think she is a total badass. I respect her a lot. So she'd be cool to have on.
You got to say what you think, and that's one thing that I've never pulled any punches, whether it been on national TV or not. Nobody, guys, I tell you this, I don't think there's anybody else out there that has the balls to go on TV and actually threaten to hurt a former president of the United States on a major morning talk show in the morning. Not that I'm proud of that, but again, I will, and I always tell producers, I've even gone on the 700 Club and said stuff that made
Pat
Robertson Jr. go, but I always tell producers, be careful what you ask me, because I'm going to give you an answer. And every one of them, some of them have called me on that bluff, and I've made them pay whatever they wanted to pay, got their ratings up. But it's never something where I go on, I'm going to say something that's going to shock the world. That's what I feel at the moment. And from what I hear with Tulsi Gabbard, it's same thing. I'm going to tell you not to shock the world, not to get a clickbait buzz on it. I want to say this because I want to get followers, and I'm going to say what I think, what I deep down feel in my heart and soul. And that's how we all should be, not something that should be, we need to have some class. I had to learn some class, guys. I did. We have to have some couth that my mother was always teaching me. But also you have to be honest and not, I see a lot of people saying stuff just to get their face out there.
Of course.
Where if you're just saying stuff, but if you're saying it and it actually comes because you've experienced something and it hurts that bad, or it makes you feel that passionate because you've experienced it, not because you've watched it on TV, but because you've experienced it, I have respect for that. And she served, and having a politician call her a traitor after you've served, yeah, she's experienced service. She knows what an actual traitor is. That I respect her comments that she made defending herself, because I know that cut her to the bone, because it would have cut me to the bone. So
yeah,
I get that. Yep.
100%. I know we went super, super long here. I don't know if there's any last words you're going to want to have, because we were going to do a whole recap of the Lake Geneva, Wisconsin Battleline Tactical. I saw the photo. Okay, well, I'll just say I saw the photo, and that was a big course. It was good to see, man.
We had it's a great range. Yeah, I'll do a little bit now. Great range. All of us weren't ready for the heat and humidity. We weren't expecting that to hit that quick, and I hadn't fluid prepped. So about noon, I could feel me getting some heat exhaustion. And we did have one student have to sit out because she was getting overheated. But, again, we toned it down. We got the fluids in us, and it turned out to be a great, great course. Very much intro to stress fire. A lot of great shooters out there, too. And I think we gave them some more stuff they could work on to become even better. No, I loved it. And the range out there, the 141 range, it is a tremendous range run by Will Ryan out there. It will be a home range. Me and Daniel Lombard from Devad Defense will continue to partner and train together, because I think he's one of the best instructors in the country. And guys, in Lake Geneva, we're also 3 miles from the Grand Geneva Resort. You can stay there. And if you haven't been to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, dude, it's pretty awesome little place. It's a cool place to go and hang out, and then have a range to go shoot during the day, and then spend some time at the old Lake Geneva downtown, and even bring the family. I took my family. It was tremendous. Great course, awesome. Great range. And we'll have another one up there again. Of course, I'll have a couple. Try to have 2 a year. And the next range we have with Devad Defense will be in Crete, Illinois, in 3 weeks, and that's a 2-day stress fire. And for those coming to that course, yes, drink a lot of water the night before, because there's a lot of running around and dynamic movements. So practical and simple. None of the showboat and YouTube stuff. All our courses are practical and simple, so you can apply them. God forbid you ever have to, but you can apply them under duress. That is what we're training at Battleline Tactical. And we also smile and have a shitload of fun. So
that's awesome. So TontosGearLocker.com if you guys want to sign up for that. Huge thanks to our sponsors. Go out and support them. And a huge thanks to Rudy Reyes for going really long with us and getting some insight that I don't think any of you have ever heard before.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Rudy. Love you, brother. I know you're hearing this, and all you guys out there that have defended me, supported Battleline Podcast. Love you guys. You have made my life so much easier, and I can't thank you enough. So, and of course, I know Ian can say the same. You're making us number 2. I was like, guys, thank you for that. That's extremely humbling. And
we're coming for that number 1 spot, baby.
We get there, man. We'll get there.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American straight talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoparanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.